On today's show, we've got a full game day preview ahead of tonight's matchup at the CTC between the Ottawa Senators and the New Jersey Devils.
And we're big stats guys on this show, so we're going to take a look at Shane Pinto's production directly correlates to the Sens' success.
We'll get into all that, plus the Yak Attack is back in Calgary on today's Locked On Sens.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first ticket purchase. You can also follow the show on social media. We're at Sens Central on Twitter, LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. You can find us free and available everywhere you get podcasts, including on YouTube, where a like, comment, and subscription go a long way to helping the show grow. Today is Thursday, October 17th, and Pilsy, the Senators looking to stay undefeated at the Canadian Tire Center this season.
Yeah, the Canadian Tire Center is where the Sens play best in front of all the Sens fans. Hopefully, you can pack the building again because the Ottawa Senators are going to need as much help as they can get, Ross. They've struggled up against the New Jersey Devils, and the Devils are one of the best teams in the league this year.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're coming off a loss, too, so they're going to be motivated. 4-2, they fell to Carolina on Tuesday, so both teams coming off a day off. For Ottawa, too, they haven't played since Monday afternoon, and we're still awaiting the status updates for Linus Ullmark and Ridley Gregg, although the latter we do not expect to play today. And, of course, Artem Zub out at least a week. We got into a lot of the injury updates in yesterday's game, but as the coach said yesterday, it's next man up mentality. So how do you think the Senators can get 2 points tonight?
Well, they're going to need a lot better performance from Anton Forsberg, who I assume is starting, Ross, but in classic LOSP fashion, if we do a full segment on Anton Forsberg needing to be better, Linus Ullmark will get the start. But I think either way, no matter who's in net, Ross, the last two games, all three goalies need to be better. So I'll do a blanket statement. No matter who's in the crease for the Sens, they have to improve on their last performance because this is a New Jersey Devils team that has a lot of depth. They pack a punch on offense. Lots of great young offensive players. Their decor is very solid from top to bottom. And then goaltending, you got Markstrom and Allen, two pretty solid veterans as well. So you're not going to poke too many holes in this Devils team. And if the Ottawa Senators hope to at least stand a chance in this fight, they need better goaltending because you're not going to be able to squeeze out an 8-7 overtime win up against the New Jersey Devils.
No, I don't think that's a way to success for today's game. The Devils, looking at their lineup, man, they're deep, they're experienced, and I think they're going to be a real problem for the entire NHL. Look, these are the two coaches that our FanDuel odds at the start of the season were 1 and 2 in Jack Adams odds, Sheldon Keefe number 1, Travis Green number 2, and that signals the fact that these two teams in the betting world's eyes will have a glow up this year because that's the way the Jack Adams goes. Which team improves the most in the standings? And I certainly am buying in to the hype with the New Jersey Devils. Also, Ottawa only has one win in their last 6 games against New Jersey. So the head-to-head matchup has not been going the Ottawa Senators' way. 2 wins ago for Ottawa against New Jersey was that Drake Batherson toe drag in overtime that we saw at the end of the 2022 season. So it's time for the Senators to continue their winning ways at home. And if you're thinking about going to tonight's game, the 2 home games have both been extremely entertaining in their own rights. The real close empty netter got the 2-goal victory against Florida in the home opener. And of course, that wild and wacky one on Thanksgiving. Tonight's going to be the first game I watch on TV, which will be an interesting move for me. I've been to all 3 of the games. You obviously went to the first 2 with me and then had family day on Monday. So it's going to be a fun experience. It's a TSN game, which I'm very excited about tonight as well. So I'm looking forward to watching this one. I'm looking forward to the postcast, and I'm hoping that we can see some more offensive flair from this team as well as tightening it up defensively. And Anton Forsberg, we do expect to start. We're not playing chicken with the goalies, but Pilsy's playing real chicken today. So we're recording before the morning skate. So we're going to base ourselves off of yesterday's lines for the Ottawa Senators at practice. Tim Stützle was centering the top line between Brady Tkachuk and Claude Giroux. Josh Norris in his usual spot next to Noah Gregor and Drake Batherson. The third line hasn't moved once this season. Shane Pinto between David Perron and Michael Amadio. The fourth line, we expect it to be Adam Gaudette centering Nick Cousins and Zach McEwen. On the back end, Jake Sanderson with Travis Hamonic, Thomas Chabot with Nick Jensen, and Tyler Clevin with Jacob Bernard Docker. Hashtag NoDACSens. We know Matt Sogard got called up. We expect Forsberg to start. Pilsy, give me a locked-on player to watch.
My locked-on player, Ross, is going to be number 7, Brady Tkachuk. Now, he's been dishing the puck pretty well. 5 assists, leads the team in assists. Only 1 point behind Tim Stützle, but he's got a big old donut in the goals category, Ross. I want to see Brady Tkachuk step it up and get a goal tonight up against the New Jersey Devils. The last time these two teams played, Ross, Brady Tkachuk excelled in a stat category. It wasn't goals or assists, it was hits. But let's calm down, maybe get 10 less hits. So 6 hits on the game for Brady and convert those 10 hits into 1 goal, because I'd like to see him get that monkey off his back.
Last year, he scored 2 goals in the home opener, which was the second game of the season. The year before, he had a goal in the first game of the season. You have to go back 3 years to where it took him until game number 4 to score his first goal. And would you look at that? This is the 4th game of the season.
Let's go.
We know what Brady Tkachuk brings offensively. I have liked his defensive game for the most part this season, definitely taking the effort to another level. And this is, in a way, a bit of a fun game for him. You got the GM on the other side as his cousin, Tom Fitzgerald. He makes his offseason home in New Jersey, where his wife is from. So I think he's going to be ready to go in tonight's game. So I like that call for Brady Tkachuk. I'm going to go in a different direction because the D-core to me is what's struggling, and they're going to need Jake Sanderson to be at his best. Jake Sanderson with 3 points in 3 games so far this season. He's been elite defensively, skates himself out of trouble, and I'm going to be looking for him to carry this D-core and carry his partner, because we know that Travis Hamonic is a third pair at best quality defenseman at this stage in his career. So for him to be the guy who slots in next to Jake Sanderson, I'm not only going to be locked on to Jake Sanderson, but I'm going to be locked on to Travis Green and how he organizes the D pairs throughout the game. During the game against the LA Kings, I know they were down to 5 defensemen, so out of necessity, they had to make different adjustments. But we saw a lot of Chabot with Sanderson. And I know the 2 lefties thing didn't work at all with Chabot and Chychrun, but I don't mind that in certain situations within the game. Offensive zone faceoffs, after an icing. These types of plays where you have a bit of an advantage, the Senators need to take those advantages and utilize them, because seriously, on paper tonight, the Devils to me are the favorite in this game. And I'd imagine our friends at FanDuel feel the same way.
Yeah, Ross. Sanderson was the other guy I was thinking of being locked on, so great choice there. Sandy's going to have to carry a hammer in his toolbox here. And look, one of the reasons they might have chose to do this, Ross, is because Sanderson and Hamonic at least have familiarity playing together. You'll remember in Sanderson's rookie season, most, if not all, of that time was spent paired with Travis Hamonic. And maybe it's one of those things where you're still not sure about JBD, so you don't want to insert him too high in the lineup. And Sanderson's that defenseman where, Ross, you or I could probably play beside Jake Sanderson, and he would make us look a lot better than we should. So
hey, I'm a right shot D.
There you go. Perfect. You should be at this game. What are you doing back in Winnipeg? Let's go.
I already told you the real problem was me not bringing my goalie gear to Ottawa for the weekend. I would have been banging on the locker room door at the end of the first period. Say, put me in, coach.
What a team player. You want me to play top pair right shot defenseman? I'll do it. You want me to play Tendy? I'll do it. That's Ross Levitan.
Yeah, like we saw back in the day in fantasy hockey, like Brent Burns /D. How about D/goalie? Let's go.
Yeah, a little unorthodox, but I like it.
Hey, this is a huge opportunity for Nick Jensen too, right? Like,
yes.
Hey, Steady Eddie, we need you out there tonight. And he's got his family in town, his newborn, the 3 kids, and the wife are in Ottawa. So I saw there's some photos the Sens posted that he was out for a skate with them after. I love the family aspect the Senators are really trying to foster at the rink, really making their players feel like they can be comfortable having their families around at all times. So I'm really excited to see what this decor looks like. Maybe nervous is a better word than excited, but I do think that this could be won or lost with the defense and the goaltending in this game. I know Jacob Markstrom's good. He let in 3 goals on 30 shots in the last game. They got an empty netter in Carolina, but he was fantastic. You're going to have to work to beat him. But like you said on Monday's show, or Tuesday's rather, like, you're not worried about this team scoring goals. You're worried about this team being able to defend and being able to, hey, why don't we get a couple kills on the penalty kill this game, because it did not go well the other night. And the New Jersey Devils obviously pack a punch offensively. You look at some guys we'll get to as we pull up their lineup here in the next segment, but their power play so far this season, the New Jersey Devils are not clicking too well. All 20%. I mean, the 17th in the league. So it's average. It's average early on in the season, but their PK clicking at over 90%. So you're going to have to work a little bit harder than against the LA Kings, who, by the way, just as an aside, after seeing the LA Kings play against the Toronto Maple Leafs, they might not be a good team.
Yeah, well, I mean, Drew Doughty's a big part of that team. Yeah,
fair. And apparently Darcy Kemper got hurt in the game against Ottawa. He didn't dress in the game against Toronto, and they got beat down to 6-2, but at one point it was 5-1. I believe it was 5-0 even at one point. So that's garbage time points for the Kings getting back in this one, but there's no doubting the New Jersey Devils and what they bring. Let's get to that after the break. Let's get to our keys to victory. We also want to talk about Shane Pinto's impact, because if you look into the career of Shane Pinto, this guy is a direct correlation to the Senators' success. That and more. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Mary J's. Mary J's is a locally owned cannabis dispensary in the Ottawa area, and you can check them out in 4 different locations. Check them out at Riverside South, Orleans, Greeley, and Russell. Mary J's offers the best and newest products in the market, and they're adding new stuff to the menu every single week to keep it fresh. Ross and I checked out the Orleans store, and we got lots of new great products, and they offer competitive pricing. In fact, they're going to price match any store in Ottawa. That means it's a slam dunk to go there, because you're guaranteed to get the best price around when you shop at Mary J's. And they have great customer service by having the friendliest bud tenders around. One of the owners, Dashy, absolute beauty, diehard Sens fans, wore his Tim Stützle jersey to the store after the home opener. Go to one of the stores, say what up to Dashy, pick his brain about the Sens and all the latest, greatest products that Mary J's has to offer, and check out their website and get yourself a loyalty card. Check it out today, guys. Mary J's Dispensary.
Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. Over at FanDuel, you can make every moment more. And what I love, too, about FanDuel is they've got this new feature where you can see all the play-by-play and everything you need right at the page where you make your bet. So if you get an itch in the middle of the game, you can head over to FanDuel and get in on the action. I was right. The Senators are underdogs at home tonight, plus 105. So that means you put in $10, you make $10.50 if the Senators are able to get the victory over the New Jersey Devils. If you're an over-under guy, the over 6.5 goals is minus 105 for tonight's game against the Devils. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets at FanDuel, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Go check them out. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, and FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. All right, Pilsy, it's game day for the Ottawa Senators. It's a 7 o'clock start at the Canadian Tire Center, and if you're going to tonight's game, there are still tickets available for the GLEBE Central Pub Shuttle. You can go check out the GLEBE Central Pub Shuttle at their website, GLEBE Central Pub. Okay, the New Jersey Devils, a very strong start to the season for the Devils. They're 4-2-0, although, as I mentioned, they are coming off a defeat. So how do they line up against the Ottawa Senators? Well, their top line can match up against any in the league. Jesper Bratt might still be one of the more underrated players. This guy's an absolute gamer. He plays right wing. Jack Hughes at center, and Timo Meier is playing left wing on that line that's got a little bit of everything. You got the power forward, you got the superstar, and you've got the very undersized playmaking skill guy on the right side. Second line is Nico Hischier, their captain, centering Tomas Tatar and Dawson Mercer. We've got Eric Howla between Paul Cotter and Stefan Nason. And then Curtis Lazar is centering the fourth line with Andre Palat and Nathan Bastian. On defense, new addition, Brendan Dillon on the top pair with Dougie Hamilton. Eunice Siegenthaler is with Jonathan Kovacevic. And you've got Seamus Casey with Simon Nemec. In goal, we expect it to be Jacob Markstrom. However, Jake Allen has played well in his career against the Ottawa Senators. Pillsy, before we get to your lookout player, Curtis Lazar might be the hashtag Sens Abroad that I always forget is in the league. Credit to him, man. He's worked his way into a nice bottom six career in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, Curtis Lazar has managed to find a spot for him in a bunch of different places around the league.
How many games played do you think Curtis Lazar has in the NHL? This shocked me when I saw it.
It's going to be a lot. Like, I feel like he plays almost out. Like, no team sends him to the minors, so he's been in the NHL the whole time.
How many games played?
573.
530. When I say over 500 games,
yeah,
that's incredible, man. When he left Ottawa, we were like, oh, is he going to have much of a career? He only played 176 of those games in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Credit to him, man. I like guys that they come out of junior, they're like scorers, they're this, they're that. And then they're like, no, I gotta find a role in the NHL. And we're probably already spending too much time on a guy who averages 11 minutes a game. But I just think that it's pretty impressive. Come a long way from eating that dirty hamburger off the ice during the Hamburglar run, where it was him, Pajot, and Hoffman, if I'm not mistaken, as the third line for the Ottawa Senators. My lookout player, do you mind if I take this one first?
Go ahead.
I mean, you got the locked on player first.
Yep, go ahead.
I'm going to go with another hashtag Sens Abroad, a guy who I was very on the board of getting him to Ottawa. You know that Stefan Nason leads this team in points? He got 6 points in 6 games. He had a great year last year in Carolina. Yep. He's also one of those guys where he was a little bit of a late bloomer after being a first-round pick, left Anaheim, went to Pittsburgh, San Jose, Toronto, and then found a home in Carolina. His previous high was way back in 2017-18. Oh, yeah, with New Jersey. And then he signs back there where he had success previously at coming off his 2 best seasons of his career with Carolina. And he just adds that third layer of depth. I hope that you take one of the top 6 guys or a defenseman, but I wanted to highlight because that's what these good teams do. They have the depth and the guys who can bring it lower in the lineup. That third line where Paul Cotter's been a huge new addition for them as well. He's got 4 goals in 6 games, but that third line, Ottawa's going to have to really work to match up against them at home.
Yeah, and Nason signed a very similar deal to Michael Amadio. He signed a 3-year, $2.75 million deal.
And I think it was within like an hour of each other. Those two came down close together.
Yeah, I bet that's not a coincidence, Ross.
And they're the same spot in the lineup, third line right wing.
Yeah, true. And then Paul Cotter, that was kind of an eyebrow-raising trade. They sent over Alexander Holtz and Akira Schmid, like 2 promising young players for Paul Cotter, and it's paid off for them. So
yeah, I remember we were walking from the Sphere, day 2 of the draft, back to the hotel when that came through, and we're like, oh, that seems like a steep price for Paul Cotter, but yeah, he's paying early dividends.
Exactly. My player is going to be a top 6 player, Ross. I kind of thought the way you introduced him, you were going to go with him, but I'm going to go with Jesper Bratt. I mean, this guy has really elevated his game, and he got rewarded for it with a massive deal. Well, not that massive, but pretty good. 7.875, I believe, for 4 years with the New Jersey Devils. At least he has 4 years left after he exploded in 2021-22 with 73 points in 76 games. Last year, he had 83 points in 82 games. So a point per game player. And Rossi's on pace to be a point per game player again this year with 6 points in 6 games. And he's on a 5-game point streak. Only that very first game up against the Sabres in Europe, he didn't have a point. He's had points ever since. So this is a guy that's going to look to stay hot. Look at that line he's on with Timo Myers, Jack Hughes on the top line, and then he's on the top power play as well. Jesper Bratt is a huge part of the New Jersey Devils' success, and I'm going to be looking out for him.
Yeah, very good call. In his last 246 games, so the last 3 full seasons plus the start of this one, 235 points in 246 games. So he is an offensive weapon, and of course, it helps having Jack Hughes as the guy leading the charge on that line. Key to victory tonight, Pillsy. What do the Ottawa Senators need to do to get a win against the Devils?
Well, Ross, I'm hoping that we can get a little bit of an inside job, insider information here. If you'll remember, the interim coach of the New Jersey Devils last year was none other than Travis Green. So, I mean, if anybody knows this team other than Lindy Ruff, scratch that from the example, totally different circumstances. He was the head coach that got fired. So clearly he didn't know the team, Ross. He lost the room. Where Travis Green, he knows those guys better than anyone. I'll repeat. And hopefully he's able to kind of poke holes or at least know where this team has weaknesses and hopefully find spots. Although the goaltending last year was the Achilles heel of the New Jersey Devils, much like the Ottawa Senators. And that's completely changed now. So that'll change things. But key to victory for me is understanding how you're going to beat this team with such depth. And I wish I had the perfect answer for you, Ross. I don't, because this is such a good team. You'll remember I picked them to be in the Stanley Cup Finals up against the Dallas Stars. So I obviously have a lot of faith in this team, but I'm leaning on Travis Green's coaching ability to get the Sens to a victory tonight.
Well, you took away my retort because Lindy Ruff has already lost twice to the New Jersey Devils this season.
But
But
also, he's coaching the Buffalo Sabres. I mean,
True.
what are you going to do?
True, and it was in Europe as well, so it doesn't count, right? We know what happens in Europe doesn't count because when you come back, that's what matters. It actually makes me mad that New Jersey came back and won their next 2 games after going to Europe. Like, yeah, how do you do that? For me, it's a matter of continuing the high shot volume that they did against LA. 41 shots on goal Ottawa had. And the New Jersey Devils so far this season, I know it's a small sample size, but New Jersey has played the most games in the league with 6. They have allowed the 5th fewest shots per game. They're only averaging 25.7 shots against per game. It's going to be very important, and it's easier said than done because we just told you about their decor. Look, adding Brendan Dillon is huge for them. He's a guy who I was a huge fan of in Winnipeg. He's a play killer. He just does not allow his side to be penetrated easily. And as a left side D, that means Claude Giroux, Drake Batherson, and Michael Amadio are going to have to do their best to wear down what we see on that side. Now, they're also missing one of their new additions. Brett Pesce is not in the lineup, so they've got Jonathan Kovacevic, and he had a goal in Europe, and Sheldon Keefe called him Kovechkin after he scored that goal. So we love that. And he's a guy who easy to root for, was put on waivers by Winnipeg, found a home in Montreal, and got too good for the Habs. So he had to leave and move down to New Jersey. So mine is just high shot volume. And you know what? Let's win the special teams battle, but I'd rather not win it 4-3. Like, let's do 2-0, 1-0 like that, because that game Monday was just outrageous.
A couple things, Ross. They're also missing defenseman Luke Hughes. So, I mean, like you're kind of catching the Devils at a good time here, at least defensively. But they haven't.
They only have 2 top 10 picks on the back end: Dougie Hamilton and Simon Nemec.
Yes, I mean it could be a lot deeper with Pesce and Hughes there, but they're not using it as an excuse, Ross. You mentioned they don't allow a lot of shots per game. This team eats pucks. They had 25 block shots last game. So if you're going to be getting pucks through, it's not going to be easy because this team is laying it down. They're trying everything to make sure those pucks aren't getting towards the net.
Let us know in the comments, what are your keys to victory for a Senators win tonight at the CTC? And go check out the Glebe Central Pub Shuttle. On the other side, Shane Pinto's impact on winning and a Carter Yakemchuk WHL update.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Guys, Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and $1 billion in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy. Prize Picks puts the members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real cash. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app, use code LOCKEDONNHL, $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup, and it's Prize Picks. Run your game.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Gametime. It's the official ticketing partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. Over at Gametime, you'll get last-minute tickets at the lowest prices, guaranteed. Gametime also has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets to your favorite live events even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff and only shows you incredible deals on great seats. Toggle on the all-in pricing feature and you'll get the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. You can get the seat views. You can have the logo facing the right way. You can watch the bench like I like to do. And you can always take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first ticket purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, Pilsy, before we get into our final 2 topics, Shane Pinto's impact on winning and a WHL update for Carter Yakemchuk. Look, we love milestones. We love the history of the NHL. We got to give stick taps to both Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. Last night, Malkin scores his 500th career NHL goal, while Sidney Crosby gets his 1,600th career point. So stick taps there. And hey, when you come back from behind 3-1, to defeat Buffalo / one of our division rivals, we'll give you a little stick taps. Could have done without the overtime, but a win's a win, and Erik Karlsson got the assist on that milestone Crosby goal in OT.
Yeah, and Ross, I saw a quote after where they were asking Malkin about it, and I forget what he says, but he talks about it, and then he finishes it with, and again, congrats to me on the big milestone. So he's giving stick taps to himself.
That's awesome. And a guy... I mean, lots of goals left before we're in this echelon, but the Senators core is starting to climb the all-time ranks. If you look at...
We're on 500 goal watch?
No, we're not on 500 goal watch, but when you're looking at the Ottawa Senators as an organization, they're at the point where you're like, wow, like Brady Tkachuk now is 10th in Senators history. I want to say it's in assists, right?
I think it's assists, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. All-time Senators history, Brady Tkachuk, the 10th most assists in the league, and Thomas Chabot's at number 9, right? Like, this is the kind of company that these guys are keeping right now. Tim Stützle's already 16th on this list, tied with Bobby Ryan. So you're at the point now where this core is starting to climb the all-time ranks, and we just need to see a consistent effort throughout. And look, it's a league that's every day, and it's a league where you have to win every night. And if you lose, you got to win the next one. You can't allow these 3, 4, 5 game road trips turn into 5 losses.
Twice.
So Ottawa's lost once this year. It was a very disheartening loss. And they were able to bounce right back. So that's what 2 points. Are you apologizing for 2 points?
No, I'm not. But saying bounce right back emphatically makes it seem
They went from scoring 1 goal to 8.
Yeah, that's true. Let's not talk about the goals against.
No. Who would do that?
Not us.
Okay, their goals against only went worse by 3, and their goals for improved by 7. So
that's actually great math. Yeah, I'm with you. They bounced right back.
Well, let's stick with math because Shane Pinto is a math guy. And when he contributes on the score sheet, the Ottawa Senators have an unbelievable chance of winning. And I get it. When top players score, you're going to have a better chance of winning. But this is
he's a third-line center.
True.
Yeah.
Well, probably a lot of these games he was top 6 because of the injury situations. But you look at it, in 57 games that he has a point.
Nice.
Yeah, nice, eh? Old number.
Like it.
57 career games that Shane Pinto has at least 1 point. The Senators have 41 wins in those 57 games. They're 41, 10, and 6. There's only 10 regulation losses out of those 57 games. I would like to see the same type of stat for Tim Stützle. I actually might spend a little time today doing that.
Okay.
But there's no way that it's as good as this.
Okay, Ross, we know the Sens hired an analytics department now. All they need to do is have Shane Pinto play and you and I at the games, and it's unparalleled success.
When Shane Pinto has 2 or more points, the Senators are 7-2-2, including a game a couple of years ago where he had 2 goals against the New Jersey Devils.
I like it.
Okay. Now let's get to Carter Yakemchuk, where he's too good for the WHL, first and foremost. But his team stinks. Last night, Carter Yakemchuk had a goal and 2 assists, and the team lost. In overtime, but still, like, this is something that's we're going to be tracking all year long because I don't want him to continue to have junior habits on a bad team. We got to get him out of there. They're already 9th out of 11 teams in the Eastern Conference in the WHL. His goal was almost identical to the one he scored against Montreal in the preseason. The 1T, top of the circle, or it was at the dot, really.
Yeah.
It was a little low, and he made no mistake. So great to see for Yak.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of goals like that, Ross. I still think there's a good chance he gets traded this season. We'll see if that happens and where he ends up going. Also consider the Hitmen didn't have him for the first 2 games, so now he's getting in stride. They're figuring out how to get things going. So I still believe that they can make a little recovery here. But yeah, Carter Yakemchuk is he's going to dominate this year as well. He's already projected for 42 goals, 42 assists, Ross. So I could take that. I'd be down for that. Although the projection at plus minus isn't great at a minus 63.
So what is he through?
-3.
So he's played 3 games. He has 3 goals, 3 assists.
2 goals, 2 assists.
2 goals,
3
2
games.
assists. Yeah. All right. Okay. We'll be tracking that throughout the season here on Locked On Sens. Pilsy, what's your gut feeling about tonight's game?
I'm nervous. I think this is the game I'm most nervous about. And I was pretty nervous about the Florida Panthers as well. So that's saying something. Until we see Anton Forsberg get back to form, I can't trust him yet. We had a couple people comment being like, Forsberg's going to be fine. I don't know what these guys are talking about. And
I appreciate that.
I hope you're right. But it's just from what we've seen recently, I have not been given any confidence. And when you're up against a team as deep and as talented as the New Jersey Devils, this is going to be a big test for Anton Forsberg. And you know what? It's not the defense aren't free here either. The defense needs to be better as well, which is a tough task considering Artem Zub will not be a part of this defense corps. So I'm nervous.
We did say, though, the Senators have to continually win 4 out of 7 games. Treat this first month and a half to 2 months like a playoff series.
2-1.
And right now, they're 2-1. So you can, at home, if you're up 2-1 in a series, you're feeling pretty good. So let's get a win tonight, and let's close out the first series against Tampa on Saturday. That's going to be a big game, too, divisional. Yeah. Tampa's one of only 2 teams in the league without a regulation loss. So that in itself is going to be a tough test for the Ottawa Senators. The there are some teams that are regulation loss, but they're one of two teams with no losses. Them and the Calgary Flames. Oh, and maybe it's the Eastern Conference. I'm talking myself into an absolute pretzel right now.
It's early in the morning, Ross. We don't usually record this early, so it happens.
Yes, it is the East. Only the Rangers and the Lightning in the East have no regulation losses.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Great stat. How are you feeling about this game?
Ask me after Forsberg makes 5 saves.
Yeah.
And if Forsberg stops the first 5 shots of the game, the Senators win.
Okay. I wonder if you can get a parlay like that in with our friends at FanDuel.
I'm very nervous about the goaltending, and I think that's fair based on what we saw not only in the game against LA, but you might recall that he also let in 2 goals on 4 shots in his last preseason game against Detroit.
And they gave him time to figure it out in the preseason, and he wasn't able to.
But like Forsey is that type of guy. Like last year when he was locked in certain games, he was elite.
Yeah.
That Seattle game comes to mind where he had the shutout.
He's got it. It's just we
know.
haven't seen it in a while.
I know. And the decor is going to have to do a good job of keeping things to the outside. You can't let Jack Hughes dance against you. You can't let the third line beat you in this game. You have to make them work for it. And I think they're going to be ready to play. I'm sure Travis Green will have some money on the board too. And this team is going to, if you want to be a playoff team, these are the types of teams that missed last year but want to be in it again. These are the types of teams where you have to win the arm race throughout the season. And all of a sudden, I know this is the Devils' 7th game, but if you look at the points percentage, Ottawa would pass the Devils with a win tonight. So this is a big game from that standpoint. And I think if Forsey can have a good game, you're right away changing the whole mood around the team. Because like we said, offensively, we're not worried. They've got elite players. It's a matter of keeping the puck out of their own net. And at 7 o'clock tonight, we will find that out, and join us later after the game in the postcast. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, and you'll know when we go live. It'll likely be about 30 minutes after the game, and then Martian is going to run home from the CTC, and he'll jump on with us tonight. It's a hockey night for Pilsy, so it's going to be me, Jack Richardson, and Martian on the postcast. Can't wait to see you there. So, Pilsy, some final thoughts on today's show.
I got nothing. Final thought, Ross. I think best case scenario for this game is take it to overtime and try to do some of that magic that they had last time. I think this is going to be a game where the Ottawa Senators are going to push back at the end. I think they're going to fall down early like they're used to doing, and then they're going to push back, tie it up, and send it to overtime, and then who knows what happens there. Well,
that's the script from the last time these two teams played, where Anton Forsberg let in 3 goals on 9 shots, and then the Senators were down 4-0 or 4-1, and they fought back to make it 4-3 in that game. So that's what we're going to be watching for tonight. We'll have a full breakdown for you tomorrow morning on the podcast as well. Got some great guests lined up for next week as well. So looking forward to all of that. And the Senator season is in full swing. We've got a divisional matchup to preview tomorrow. Saturday, the game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Another home game, 1 o'clock. So it's a important home stretch before this season turns to a road trip where, Pilsy, they're going to be west of the Eastern time zone, buddy. They're going to be west of the Eastern time zone.
That's scary for the Ottawa Senators. Although, let's see how they
14-1 last year.
But, Ross, they will be playing up against a very new franchise. So let's see if they can find some magic in Salt Lake City.
Yes, we will get into all that as things develop. We will be here each and every day throughout the season. And we look forward to sharing this with all the citizens. And thank you yesterday to Menno Versteeg for joining the show. Make sure to check that out if you haven't already. We'll see you in the postcast. But for today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. Thank you for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team every day.